A few months ago, I was struggling. I had been freelance graphic designing for years, but lately, clients stopped reaching out. My cozy urban apartment felt lonelier with each passing day. I turned to online communities for inspiration and connection. I thought I knew the internet well, but I never expected what happened next. One night, while scrolling through messages, I saw a notification from a stranger. Their name was Alex, and they seemed to have the same interests as me. I found it exciting. I could almost feel hope bubbling inside me. I ignored the nagging feeling in my gut that warned me against it. We started chatting regularly. I felt a genuine connection, something I really needed. But then I noticed strange things. Their profile pictures kept changing. Sometimes they had dark hair and other times blonde. Once they discussed a city I knew well, but their stories were confusing and didn't match up. I tried to brush it off. Maybe I misunderstood. But each time I turned on my computer, unease settled in my stomach. Things escalated when Alex sent voice notes. Their voice sounded off, and a chill ran down my spine. I heard something behind the words, like hesitation or fear. I wanted to ask them what was going on, but I held back. One night, I got a video call request. My heart raced, thinking it might be a chance for a real connection. But when the call connected, I froze. The face on the screen didn't look like the person in their pictures. I felt a wave of confusion wash over me. "Is this really you?" I asked, my voice shaking. The person smiled awkwardly, and I sensed something wrong in their gaze. "You don't trust me?" they replied. I felt cold all over. I didn't know what to say. A part of me wanted to express my discomfort, but I was too scared of what might be true. After that, I decided to investigate. I asked around the online community we both used. All I found were more discrepancies. People I used to trust felt just as shady. I started second-guessing myself. It felt like everything was unraveling. My heart raced more often, and I felt on edge. Late one night, I got a message from Alex. "What are you doing right now?" it read. My heart sank. Just as I was about to reply, I heard a voice from behind me, soft yet chilling. "Why do you care what I'm doing?" I turned around, but nobody was there. I couldn't breathe. I felt my stomach drop, and my mind raced. My instincts screamed for me to unplug my devices, to isolate myself completely. But I couldn't escape. Who could I trust when even the truth felt like a lie? Alex's face flashed in my mind again, and I wondered if they were watching me. I felt like I was losing my grip on reality with every passing moment. I spent the next day in a fog. I hardly moved from my desk. The glow of my computer screen felt darker, more oppressive, as though it were a gateway into something sinister. I kept checking my messages, half expecting Alex to reach out again. Instead, there was only silence. As the hours crawled by, unease curled around me. I needed to do something. I decided to dig deeper into Alex's online presence. I started collecting clues, screen captures of our conversations, and the changing profile pictures. I opened tabs for social media platforms, searching for anything that matched the information Alex had given me. That's when I stumbled across a different profile. The picture was familiar. It was one of the photos Alex had used, but the name associated with it was completely different. I felt a surge of adrenaline. Who were they really? My fingers trembled as I clicked on the profile. Suddenly, I felt a chill crawl up my spine. The friend list was public. I scrolled through, heart racing. My eyes widened. There were people I recognized. Some were from the online community where Alex and I met. Had they known? Were they all in on it together? I narrowed my eyes at a profile that caught my attention. It belonged to someone named Lucas, who had commented on one of Alex's posts before. I checked their account and found several mutual friends, all of them seemingly normal. But it felt off. I had seen them in the community, but I had never interacted with them. I began to feel dizzy. I tried to calm myself. Maybe it was just a coincidence. But that night, when I returned to my computer, I found a new message from Alex. "I've been waiting for you." My hands went cold. I hesitated to reply. Instead, I reached out to Lucas through a direct message. "Hey, do you know Alex?" I typed, my heart racing with every keystroke. The message sat unread for what felt like an eternity. Finally, my phone pinged. Lucas replied, "Who?" I stared at the screen. It felt like being pulled underwater. Then, without warning, a reply popped up from Alex. "Why are you asking about me?" I felt the walls closing in, panic rising.
I wasn't prepared for confrontation. I just wanted to know if you were real, I sent back, my heart pounding. Another delay, and then, real enough. It sent chills down my spine. I glanced at the profile picture again, the smiling face that felt both inviting and threatening. My throat tightened. Then my phone buzzed again. This time it was an unknown number. Confused, I opened it, only to find a photo attachment. My breath itched in my throat as I clicked on it. The picture showed a dark corner of a room that looked eerily similar to my own. My stomach twisted into knots. I glanced around, convinced that someone was watching me. "Who's there?" I shouted, but silence filled my apartment. The shadows danced around me, and that nameless dread returned with a vengeance. My instincts screamed at me to shut my computer down, to end this irrational nightmare. But just as I reached for the power button, the darkness around me deepened. I knew I had to confront it, whatever it was. Who was Alex? Who was really watching me? And what did they want?
I spent the night staring at the dark ceiling, images swirling through my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I tried to sleep, but my imagination ran wild. The corners of my room appeared to whisper secrets, taunting me in the silence. My phone, now a lifeline and a tormentor, sat on the nightstand, its screen blank like the void of my thoughts. Morning came with a heavy sense of dread. I forced myself to rise, convinced I needed answers. I opened my laptop, but it felt like stepping into a lion's den. The screen flickered to life, revealing the very messages I had left unanswered. No new notifications from Alex, nothing from Lucas. I felt trapped in an endless cycle. I decided to visit the online community where I first met Alex. Maybe someone there would know more. My heart raced as I navigated to the forum. The familiar sight of usernames and avatars filled my screen, but I felt an unfamiliar sensation wash over me. Paranoia. Were they all connected? I opened a thread about online safety, scanning for advice that might illuminate my situation. The chat was lively, people sharing anecdotes about suspicious interactions. Then a particular comment caught my attention. "Watch out for profiles that change frequently. It's a red flag." The words echoed in my head. I thought about Alex's shifting online identity. I took a deep breath and composed a post. "Has anyone here interacted with someone named Alex? I'm feeling uneasy about our conversations." I hesitated before hitting send, anxiety prickling at the back of my mind. The response was swift. Within minutes, several replies popped up, each echoing my fear. One stood out. "That's strange. I used to talk to someone by that name. Profile changed all the time. Then they just disappeared." My heart raced. I felt claustrophobic, as if walls were closing in. I messaged the user, hoping for more information. But then an alert popped up, a private message from Lucas. I opened it with shaky hands. "I don't know who Alex is, but I think you should be careful. Some people hide their true intentions." My stomach dropped. The doubt I'd been suppressing now roared to life. I quickly typed back, "Are you saying Alex is dangerous?" The message sent, but a heavy dread settled over me. Suddenly, my phone buzzed again. I ignored it for a moment, too consumed by the thought of Lucas's warning. Finally, I glanced down. It wasn't from Lucas, but a message from Alex, the familiar name now feeling like a knife twisting in my gut. "You shouldn't have talked to him." My pulse quickened. "What do you mean?" I typed back, panic sweeping over me. A sickening thought slithered through my mind. Was Lucas a part of this? Alex replied almost instantaneously. "You've stepped too far into the dark." That's when I noticed something out of the corner of my eye. A shadow shifted near my window. I turned quickly, heart thumping. My heart dropped as I realized someone was watching me. The sense of dread I had felt for days suddenly materialized into something real. I froze, eyes locked on the dark outline standing just outside my window. The shape was blurred, like a smudge on the glass. My instinct screamed at me to move, to run, but I was paralyzed, a mixture of fear and disbelief holding me captive. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the shadow vanished from view. I blinked, my heart racing too loud in my chest. Had I imagined it? I rushed to the curtain and peeked outside, but the street lay empty. There was no one there, just the barren landscape that looked eerily normal. A chill crept up my spine as I stepped back from the window. I clutched my phone tightly, the glow of the screen providing little comfort. It was still buzzing with new messages, reminders of the chaos swirling around me. I had to get a grip. I couldn't let this consume me. I took a deep breath and returned to the forum, scanning for any sign of familiar usernames. I needed to know more about Alex to put together the pieces. I logged into the direct messages and saw that Lucas had sent me another note. "Where are you? We need to talk."
My fingers hovered over the screen, hesitating. I didn't want to meet him. Every instinct told me that he could be involved in whatever was happening. But a part of me, fearful and lonely, wondered if he was my only ally in this hidden war. I typed back, "I need to know you're safe first." His response came quickly. "Meet me at the park, near the fountain. I promise I won't hurt you." A knot formed in my stomach. I remembered his warning about Alex. But did I really have a choice? I needed answers. I glanced at the clock. It was already afternoon. The bright daylight felt deceptive, as if hiding something sinister. I left my apartment, each step heavy with apprehension. The park was only a short walk away, but it felt infinite as my thoughts raced. Every passing car seemed like a threat, every rustle in the trees a whisper of warning. When I arrived, I spotted Lucas leaning against the concrete edge of the fountain. He appeared tense, his eyes scanning the area as though searching for someone. I hesitated for a moment, then approached. The moment he saw me, he pushed off the fountain and straightened. "Thank you for coming," he said, though there was an edge to his voice. "Can you explain what's going on with Alex?" I demanded. I needed clarity, something solid to hold on to in this storm of uncertainty. Before Lucas could answer, I noticed someone watching us from a distance. A figure lingered, half hidden behind a tree. I couldn't see their face, but the posture looked familiar. My heart dropped as dread washed over me. There were two threats looming now, and I didn't know which one was worse. Lucas followed my gaze, eyes widening as recognition flickered across his face. "We need to leave, now." Everything felt wrong, and just when I thought it couldn't get worse, I heard a voice call out from the shadows.
You've both been very curious. Care to share what you've uncovered? The world crashed down around me. I took a step back, heart racing as the figure stepped forward, revealing a face I knew too well. "Zoe," Alex said, his voice laced with mockery. A shiver ran through me. The face I had once trusted now felt like a mask hiding something insidious. "Alex," I stammered, heart pounding in my chest. I searched for any hint of the friend I once knew, but all I saw was a stranger. Lucas moved slightly closer, protective but wary. "What do you want?" I managed to ask, anger mixing with fear. I wanted to scream at him, to demand answers, but I had to stay calm. "Just a little conversation. You two seem to have been digging around in things that don't concern you." He stepped forward, and I instinctively moved back. "Curiosity can be dangerous, don't you think?" Lucas shifted beside me. "You shouldn't be here, Alex. You should have left things alone." "Left things alone?" Alex laughed, a sharp sound that echoed in the stillness of the park. He looked at me, his expression suddenly serious. "You have no idea what you're dealing with. You really think you can just stroll through my life and figure it all out?" "You put yourself in our path," I shot back, adrenaline lending strength to my voice. "This is not just about you anymore. You're drawing us into whatever mess you're in." Suddenly, a low rumble of thunder rolled in the distance, dark clouds gathering above. It felt like the sky was reflecting my unease. Just then, I noticed the figure lurking behind the tree had shifted, ducking into the shadows. I couldn't tell if they were friend or foe, but I knew we were outnumbered. "Maybe you're right," Alex said, waving a hand dismissively, "but it doesn't matter. The truth will find you, whether you want it to or not." His gaze flicked back to Lucas, "And I will make sure she finds it." Before I could react, he turned and walked away, melting into the tree line as if he'd been a figment of my imagination. I felt hollow, the conversation leaving me reeling. What did he mean? What truth? Lucas grabbed my arm, urgency clear in his eyes. "We need to move. It's not safe here." "Where can we go?" I asked, scanning the area, desperate. My mind was racing with possibilities, but I felt trapped. "Follow me." Lucas led me away from the fountain, weaving through the park, and I found myself trying to keep pace. Each step felt heavy as my mind struggled to process everything that had just happened. We ducked into a clustered area of trees, shielding ourselves as we caught our breath. "That's twice now he's appeared," I whispered, trying to grasp the situation. "How does he keep finding us?" Lucas shook his head. "I don't know, but we need to figure this out fast. The more Alex feels cornered, the more dangerous he becomes. And those shadows you see, they might not all be him." His words sent a fresh wave of dread through me. The figure I'd seen earlier, the lurking presence at the edge of my vision, it felt like more than just coincidence now. "I won't let him take control," I said, my voice firm with determination. I had to fight against the fear, but as I spoke, the shadows around us seemed to pull closer. Then, in the eerie stillness, I heard the faint sound of footsteps approaching. My stomach dropped. I turned to Lucas, fear flooding my senses. We're not alone. Just as I felt a chill seep into the air, the branches parted, revealing a silhouette I couldn't recognize.
It's time to choose a side. My breath hitched as the figure stepped into the dim light filtering through the trees. I tried to make out the features, but the shadows obscured their face. "Who are you?" I demanded, my heart racing again. "Names don't matter," the figure replied, their voice low. "What matters is where you stand." There was an edge to their tone, as if they were testing us. Lucas took a step forward. "We're not here to pick sides. We just want to be left out of whatever this is." His bravado didn't quite mask the tension in his stance. The figure tilted their head, studying us. "You think you can walk away from this? You're already too deep." "Deep into what?" I shot back, exasperated. "What are you talking about?" "What Alex warned you about. He's not the biggest threat. You're playing a game you don't understand." They circled us slowly, like a predator sizing up its prey. "You want to know the truth? It's worse than you think." I swallowed hard, wanting to bolt but unable to tear my gaze away. "Then tell us." The figure hesitated, eyes flickering. Words can be dangerous, especially when you don't know who's listening. They glanced over their shoulder, as if sensing something in the distance. Before I could voice my growing impatience, the figure continued. "There's someone else, a shadow in the background, controlling everything. Alex is just a pawn, and he doesn't even realize it." Their words sent a ripple of fear through me. A pawn? What game was being played? "Then help us. We need to know how to stop him, how to protect ourselves," I pleaded, desperation creeping into my voice. Their gaze met mine, and for a moment I saw a glint of something human, a flicker of empathy maybe. "I can't help you directly. You need to find the others." "Others?" Lucas echoed, confusion etched on his face. "What do you mean?" The figure's expression darkened. "There are others like us out there. They're caught in this web too. If you find them, you can piece together the truth, and maybe, just maybe, confront the real threat." Just then, a low growl rumbled from somewhere behind the trees. My skin prickled. "What's that?" I whispered, dread pooling in my stomach. The figure's eyes widened. "You need to go now." They turned, glancing into the shadows. "Don't wait for them to come to you. Trust no one." Before I could react, they darted back into the obscurity of the trees.
Panic flared in my chest. What do we do? Where do we go? Lucas grabbed my arm tighter. "We stick together and move quickly. We can't stay here." We started to retreat, but the growl sounded again, closer this time. I felt the heat of fear climb my throat. "What is hunting us?" "Run!" Lucas shouted. Without thinking, we bolted, the woods becoming a blur around me. I could hear the footsteps behind us, growing louder. They were following. I had no idea what truth awaited us, but I knew we had to outpace the shadows lurking at our backs. That sudden surge of primal fear pushed us forward, but uncertainty clawed at me. The figure had promised answers, but those answers now felt frighteningly out of reach as we plunged deeper into the unknown. Then, just as we cleared the tree line, the first drops of rain began to fall. And with it, I felt it. A cold sense of impending dread settled over me. I froze at the edge of the clearing. I had an instinct. That was when I saw it. An old, weathered sign partially buried in the mud, with letters just barely legible. "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here." I stood there, the sign's chilling words bouncing around my mind like a haunting echo. Abandon all hope? What did that even mean? Panic constricted my throat, and I glanced back at Lucas, who was still scanning the shadows. "Did you see that?" I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "We need to go." "Yeah, I saw it." His gaze darted toward the tree line. "This way." He pulled me to the right, and we stumbled forward into the clearing. The rain picked up, a cold drizzle drenching us. The atmosphere felt thicker, pressing down on my chest. I scanned our surroundings. An old abandoned cabin loomed just ahead. Its wooden structure was sagging, and broken windows stared down at us like empty eye sockets. "Should we check there?" I asked, hesitation creeping into my voice. "I don't like the idea of more shadows lurking, but it might be safer than out here," Lucas replied, his voice gruff. I nodded, heart in my throat, as we approached the door. The wood creaked ominously under our weight as we entered. Inside, the musty smell hit me immediately. The room was dark, lit only by occasional flashes of lightning through the broken windows. I felt like it was swallowing us whole. We tiptoed inside, careful not to make too much noise. A table stood in the middle of the room, covered in stacks of old newspapers and dust. I leaned over to get a better look. Headlines caught my eye about missing people, strange disappearances, and the horror stories that loomed over this forsaken place. "Lucas," I whispered, "look at this." He shuffled over, peering at the articles. "This is creepy. It says here that people who came here never came back." My heart raced again. What if that was the fate of the others we're supposed to find? Suddenly, a crash echoed from outside. We both froze, eyes wide.
There it was again, a distinct growl, followed by rustling in the bushes.
They were close. I remembered the figure's warning. Trust no one. "Hide," Lucas hissed, and we ducked behind the old table. I held my breath, the pounding in my heart loud against the eerie silence that enveloped us. As we huddled there, the sound of footsteps approached, heavy and deliberate. My pulse quickened as I strained to hear, fear wrapping around my thoughts. Could it be Alex? I whispered, uncertainty gnawing at me. No, it's something else. Lucas's jaw tightened. And then, through the broken glass, I saw a shape moving, large and shadowy. It passed by the window without stopping. My stomach sank. It was hunting us. My mind raced. What if the others were just as trapped? The footsteps moved away, and I exhaled slowly. We did not have much time. "What now?" I whispered, trying to keep my fear in check. Lucas stood slowly, shadowing my racing thoughts. "We can't wait here. We have to find those others, wherever they are. There's something bigger going on." A sense of urgency washed over me. It was time to act. But before we could make a plan, a loud crash rang from the back of the cabin. I felt my throat tighten again. Something was coming. "Get ready to run," Lucas shouted, and I felt that cold dread tighten around my chest, an instinct I couldn't shake off. As we turned to flee, my eyes caught a glimmer in the corner of the room. A door. If we had a chance, maybe it led to safety. I felt an unsettling mix of hope and anxiety surge through me. "Follow me," I screamed as I sprinted toward it, brazen against the fear of the unknown that awaited us on the other side. As I burst through the door, the hinges creaked loudly, a protest against our desperate escape. We stumbled into a narrow hallway, barely illuminated by flickering overhead lights. The air here felt stale, thickened by despair. I could hear Lucas's footsteps close behind me, each one pounding against the floor like a warning. "We need to find a way out," I said, glancing back at him. His expression was tense, eyes scanning every dark corner. The hallway stretched on endlessly, doors lining both sides. Panic flared within me as I realized we might be running straight into danger. "Which way?" I shouted, my voice echoing against the walls. "Let's try the first door," Lucas pointed, and we darted towards it. I pulled on the rusted handle, and it groaned open. Inside was a small room, cluttered with old furniture covered in sheets. The remnants of life once lived here felt haunting. I stepped in cautiously, flinching as the door clicked shut behind us. What if it's a trap? My gut twisted at the thought. "It might be better than whatever's out there," Lucas replied, trying to stay calm. A sudden crash echoed from the main room of the cabin, followed by something that sounded like a roar. My stomach dropped. It was close. We didn't have much time. I scanned the small room. In the corner was an old wardrobe, its doors slightly ajar, revealing a collection of dust-covered clothes. I felt an urge to hide, to curl up within them like a child seeking comfort, but that would do us no good. "Look," Lucas said, pointing to a window. It was partially boarded up, but through the gaps I could see the treetops swaying violently against the storm. Before I could respond, another crash came from the hallway, louder this time. I pressed a finger to my lips. "We can't stay here." We made our way to the window, and I struggled with the boards, prying one loose. My hands trembled as I glanced back at Lucas. He was staring into the darkness, his breathing quickening. "What is it?" I whispered. I think I saw something," he stammered, eyes wide. "A figure." My heart raced, but there was no time to panic. I pushed hard against the frame, and the window creaked, finally giving way with a noisy squeal. "Help me," I urged, and together we climbed onto the peeling ledge. I could feel the splintered wood digging into my palms as we both squeezed through the narrow space. Just as I tumbled outside, Lucas followed closely. We landed in a tangled mess of wet grass. My heart pounded as I rolled to my feet. The rain fell heavier now, drenching us completely. I was disoriented, scanning the tree line for any signs of life or anything else. Then I saw it. Just beyond the trees, a flicker of light danced back at us. "There," I pointed, a mix of dread and hope filling my chest. "We should go check it out." "It could be a trap," Lucas cautioned, but I didn't care. It was something. "We need to find those others," I insisted, taking a hesitant step toward the light. In that moment, I suddenly noticed a shadow shifting in the underbrush. I took a step back, heart racing. "Lucas!" But before I could finish, the shape lunged. An inhuman growl erupted from the darkness, echoing through the cold night as it moved toward us with blinding speed. We turned to run, but it was too late. The forest around us felt alive, closing in as I realized we were not alone. Something was hunting us. "Run!" Lucas shouted, and we plunged deeper into the woods, thorns and branches clawing at our skin. Whatever was behind us was relentless, and all I could think was how desperate our situation had become. I had no idea what lay ahead, but we had to keep moving. I could only hope we would find answers soon, or risk becoming another lost story in this wretched place. We
We raced through the trees, adrenaline crashing through my veins like wildfire. I could hear the creature just behind us, its growl sending shivers down my spine. The path ahead was a blur of darkness, illuminated only by the occasional flashes of lightning. Each crack of thunder resonated in the air, mirroring the chaos in my mind. "Keep going," Lucas urged, his voice strained. I could barely see him through the sheets of rain, but his silhouette was a beacon in the storm.
We burst into a small clearing, and I stumbled. My foot caught on a root, and I went down hard. "No!" I shouted as I tried to push myself back up, panic clawing at my throat. "Get up, now!" Lucas yelled, pulling me to my feet. I barely registered how terrified he sounded. My thoughts raced, full of questions that wouldn't leave me alone. What was chasing us? Was it even human? Just then, another growl surged from behind us, louder and closer. I looked back, and the figure was there, a mass of shadow and teeth, seething with hostility. We darted around the edge of the clearing, desperate for cover. "Find somewhere to hide," I screamed, scanning the area. The trees were thick, and there might be a chance to slip away unseen. "This way," Lucas pointed toward a line of thick bushes. We dove in, barely muffling our gasps as we pressed against the damp earth. The storm raged on, a torrential downpour mixed with crashing thunder. The growling stopped, replaced by a heavy silence that felt suffocating. My heart raced, each beat a reminder of how close we were to danger. I could see Lucas next to me, his face pale in the shadows. "I can't believe this is happening," I murmured, dread coiling in my stomach. "We need to get out of here." Suddenly, from within the bushes, something rustled. My breath caught as I turned toward the sound. A figure stepped into the clearing, illuminated by the intermittent flashes of lightning. "It's not the creature," Lucas whispered, peering cautiously past the leaves. The person appeared disheveled, soaked to the bone, looking just as terrified as we were. "Help me," they called, their voice cracking. "It's coming." "Who are you?" I called out, my voice barely a whisper. I was with a group before the storm. We got separated." The stranger glanced over their shoulder, eyes wide with fear. "It's hunting us. Please, you have to help me." My mind raced. Could we trust them, or were they another trap? But there was no time to think. The creature could return at any moment. "Come on," Lucas urged, gesturing for them to join us in the bushes. "We can't stay out here." As the stranger moved closer, the tension in the air thickened. I could see the panic in their eyes, but also something else, something familiar that made my chest tighten. Before I could question it, the growl erupted again, this time closer, echoing through the trees. My instincts screamed at me to run, but we couldn't abandon this person. "Please help," they pleaded, eyes darting as another rumble of thunder rolled overhead. That's when I noticed something glinting in the stranger's hand, a cold flash that made me freeze. It was too dark to see clearly, but in that moment, all I could think was what secrets were hidden beneath that drenched jacket. Then everything went dark, the growling stopped, and the forest stood still, and in that moment of silence, I knew we were far from safety. I could feel the tension in the air, thickening with a palpable dread that clawed at my insides. My breath quickened as I processed the stranger standing before us, fear etched into their features. "I don't know what's out there," they stammered, "but it will hunt us all down unless we find those who know how to stop it." Lucas shifted beside me, glancing back at the darkened tree line that surrounded us. "What do you mean, find those who know how to stop it?" he asked, his voice low and cautious. The stranger's eyes flicked toward the shadows, and I could almost see the flicker of recognition there. Not fear, but an unnerving understanding of what lay beyond the veil of trees. "This isn't just about Alex or whatever creature is hunting us," they said, their voice trembling but becoming steadier. "There's something much deeper happening, a force that feeds off fear and isolation, and it's targeting those like us." "Like us," I echoed, unease building within me. "Who are you?" Before the stranger could respond, the growl returned, closer than before, reverberating through the trees like a death knell. "We can't stay here. It will find us," the stranger urged again, glancing back in terror. "We need to move," Lucas insisted, tugging at my arm. I hesitated, torn between curiosity and self-preservation, but the urgency in Lucas's voice snapped me out of my internal conflict. Whatever was hunting us was not waiting for an invitation. I turned to the stranger. "Come with us. If you know anything that can help, we need to stick together." "I can lead you to the others," they said, relief flooding their expression. "Others?" I asked, my mind racing. "You mean there are more people like us who are aware of whatever this is?" "Yes, there's a safe house. If we can reach it, we can regroup and figure this out together." Ignoring the growling, I nodded at Lucas. "Let's go. We can't wait any longer." As we pushed deeper into the woods, my heart beat heavily in my chest. The rain continued to hammer down around us, drowning out the sounds of the night,
but I could feel the presence lingering just behind us. The shadows, the growls, they were all closing in. The stranger led the way, their figure barely glimpsed through the trees. We're almost there, just a little further. Their voice wavered, but determination shone in their eyes. Suddenly, a massive shadow emerged from the direction we'd just vacated, crashing through the foliage with a force that rattled the ground beneath us. My adrenaline spiked as panic burst through me, driving my legs to move faster. The creature was upon us. "Run!" I shouted, racing after the stranger and Lucas. We veered left, dodging branches and thick brambles that clawed at our clothes. My heart hammered in time to our hurried footsteps, fear propelling us forward. "Keep going," Lucas urged, just ahead of us. I could see the faint glimmer of light in the distance, a beacon of hope, but it felt perilously far.
The growl echoed once more furious than before, the creature gaining on us. I dared to look back. Its shape was massive and dark, eyes like embers glowing in the night. "We'll never make it," I gasped, fear ripping through me. "Yes, we will," the stranger shouted, throwing a glance over their shoulder, their fear morphing into resolve. "Just trust me." With a surge of adrenaline, we pushed ourselves harder. My lungs burned with each breath, but the light seemed to grow brighter, urging us on. Finally, we broke through the thicket and emerged into a small clearing, the warm glow ahead beckoning us with promise. But time was running out. We sprinted toward the house, now fully visible, a rickety structure surrounded by flickering lights and a makeshift barrier. "We're almost there," I shouted, my legs feeling like lead. Just a few more steps. A loud roar pierced the air behind us, resonating through the trees. I stumbled, almost losing my footing. "Faster," Lucas urged, grabbing my hand and pulling me forward. As we approached the door, I could feel the creature's breath on the nape of my neck, that terrifying presence closing in. The stranger reached for the knob, throwing the door open. "Go, go, go," they yelled, beckoning us inside. I dove through the threshold, barely catching the door as Lucas and the stranger slipped in behind me. Slamming it shut, we threw our weight against it, panting heavily as the sounds outside grew more distant. We stood in the dimly lit room, hearts racing, each of us a mess of emotions. "What just happened?" the stranger panted, glancing around. "Did we lose it?" Lucas looked around, spying a stack of old weapons and tarot cards strewn across the corners. "This is strange." He turned to the stranger, bewilderment and confusion etched in his face. "Who are the others? What's happening?" "I don't know," the stranger admitted, running a hand through their damp hair. "But we need to be ready. The shadows, they don't just follow. They've been waiting." The weight of those words hung heavy in the air. We could catch our breath, but the uncertainty remained as thick as the fog outside. I still couldn't shake the feeling that our escape was only the beginning. Who was pulling the strings? What were we up against? "Is Alex behind this? Or is there something even bigger?" I murmured. "I don't know," the stranger repeated, and for a fleeting moment, I thought I saw something flicker in their eyes. Was it fear? Knowledge? That question still hung over us, unanswered, as the shadows danced around the house, teasing a truth we were not yet ready to face. The night had only just begun, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something, or someone, was still out there, watching us. I felt the weight of our secrets, the layers of truth pulling us deeper into a darkness riddled with uncertainty. The house, for now, gave us refuge, but the whispers of fate lingered in the air, waiting for the next move. Whatever came next, we were no longer alone. But how long would that last? I took a shaky breath, glancing at Lucas, then back to the stranger, who met my gaze with a wary resolve. We had survived the first wave, but there were more questions waiting in the dark, answers that would change everything we thought we understood.